It is such a joy to be with you today. I want to extend a special welcome to my family, both here in the sanctuary and those tuning in from afar. The second part of our reading today from poet-activist Andrea Gibson, which, by the way, it's all one long poem. I love how my partner takes karaoke far too seriously. I love my very first crush in the 4th grade, wherever he is, whoever he became. I love phone booths in London. I love ketchup chips from Canada. I love Titan, Saturn's largest moon. I love the 6 perfect holes in my most worn pair of boots. I love that pigeons can recognize themselves in photographs. I love that laughter is more contagious than the flu. I love thank you letters mailed to teachers 20 years after they graduate. I love the romance of merge signs. I love watching people pull over on the side of the road to take pictures of a rainbow. I love that I can fix almost anything with shoelaces or duct tape. I love then listening to my partner yell, "Andrea, where did my shoelaces go this time?" I love pointing out the window at our singing wind chime. I love listening for the quiet notes of the loudest songs. I love carnivals in the parking lots of tiny towns. I love paper planes with love notes written inside. I love watching children realize that seashells on the beach are free. I love the perfect contentment of a kite caught in a tree. I love coffee shops on Saturday mornings. I love the kind kids who have hard lives. I love the mean kids who haven't yet learned a better way to survive. I love that after chemotherapy, my straight hair grew back in curls. I love the tiny hurts that make each pearl. I love trying to jump over puddles and failing. I love that cows have best friends. I love that fleeting moment of annoyance while deep in writing a poem, someone interrupts to ask me to come look at a sunset. I love the instant that follows when I recognize that to be a true poet, I must abandon every poem for every pink sky. I love the pink sky and the sound of my grumpy neighbor opening his door at the same time that I do. I love both of us peeling off the husks of our minds to taste the sweetness of the world's truth. I love what I have in common with people I have nothing in common with. I love that my best friends kiss me on the forehead when I'm sick. I love the baristas in the fancy coffee shops who never smile. I love the old diner signs that say, "Stay a while." I love the desert. I love the sea. I love how much longer this list would be if the sunset were not in this very second calling me. I love all of you, friends, for caring about what I love. What are you loving today? Love, Andrea. Here ends our reading. I found Andrea Gibson through TikTok. Or maybe the algorithm did right by me and put them in my feed one night at the 4 a.m. hour because I couldn't go back to sleep. Their poetry is melodic and staccato, fierce and gentle, raw, and yet so consumable. And once you start to read or listen, you want more of what they have to say. Fast forward to the early morning of July 15th, just a couple weeks ago, and there they were again on my feed, but this time because they had passed away the night before. 4 years of fully living with ovarian cancer. I say fully living because their transparency about their feelings and how they traveled those last years in their life was evident in everything they wrote. Today's reading was from a blog post dated March 13th of this year. I chose it because I, too, love. Sometimes perhaps accused of loving too much. Like Andrea, I love stained glass in people's homes. I love watching children on the beach realize seashells are free. I love the desert, and I love the sea. How Andrea came to know they loved these things, I don't know. But for me, I know a lot of things on my list of things that I love I discovered in the summer months. I know that Andrea and I have shared loves, and I wonder if you might hear some things today that are on your love list, or maybe your summer sparks list too. So here's how I got to the title, What I Did on My Summer Vacation. Let me first say that for me, anything that happens after Memorial Day, I consider summer. So last summer, at the end of May, the beginning of June, my husband and I finally got to go on a honeymoon to Paris, Rome, and Florence, which was postponed several times since 2020. And although the entire trip was amazing, I had a spiritual spark happen to me during the Vatican tour. In the Raphael rooms just before the Sistine Chapel, there's a room with 4 frescoes. They represent philosophy, theology, poetry, and justice, reflecting the intellectual and spiritual pursuits of that time. It's called the School of Athens. Now, I know I've seen it in art history books and other places, but in person, it changed my life. It changed my spiritual life. The way the tour guide explained it made it into perfect sense to me and a way for me to articulate what I know in my heart to be true. Now, my husband was there, of course, and he thought they were great, but a spark of something to his core? Not really. And he had other sparks in other parts of the trip. I love art, and I love travel. So that was going to be the subject of today. Just about that one room, those 4 frescoes. But without seeing them here on a screen, it's complicated. And it was just one summer spark after all. And it was just my summer spark. There's so many, and I think there'll be so many more to come. When I was in school, we were almost always given this assignment to write for the first day back what I did on my summer vacation. It felt benign enough, right? Well, I took the word vacation a little too literally one year, and I recall asking, what if you don't go on vacation? What to write about then? Well, I was worried about friends of mine, some of which I knew didn't get to travel. It was explained to me by the teacher that I had so brazenly asked, vacation from school. We are all on vacation from school. Oh, okay. This, by the way, was the first time I considered being a school teacher because I could get a vacation from my job every summer. Little did I know. So I feel like my summers were different every year, but each year there was one standalone event. It was marked by a spark like that from a firecracker. There were always summers, though, where my sister and I would watch the Phillies on our grandparents' living room floor. And I know I'm not in Phillies country. We would wait for that crack of the bat at just the right moment, and we would hear the commentator, Harry Callis, cry out, "It's out of here!" In the evenings, our other grandmother, our Nana, would take us for a walk around the block and visit with neighbors. I loved cherished time with our grandparents and with our neighborhood. There were always those really hot days where staying inside was the only option in our young minds, and we would watch The Price is Right, Sesame Street, and one summer, we watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory every afternoon that entire summer. These sparks on my love list, the Phillies, Willy Wonka, the original, by the way, no offense to Johnny Depp. These are sparks on my list. There was, of course, that blockbuster summer of 1982, which is so vivid in my mind because I got to see both E.T. and Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, both sparking my love of space and its wonders. And in case you are wondering, I am still, in fact, a Trekkie. I love science fiction, and I love the movies. I just plain love summer. It's my favorite season. I used to think I loved it because it's the season that holds my birthday, because I certainly don't love extreme heat. It took me years to realize why I love it so. It, as the young people say, just hits different. But why? Here's why I think summer is the best season of the year. Our responsive reading, I think, explains it best. The sun beats down, the schools are out, the lakes and shores lose their solitude, all the world seems turned to carnival. We might turn to examine our own lives, to sort and probe our tendencies of thought, to sort the true from the false, the things of doubt, the beautiful from the ugliness unmarked. The sun beats down. It's time for pause. It is in that pause that we feel those sparks of love for others, life-changing moments, and the world around us, and then we can add to our list. As a child, it was easy to pause, right? Because there is no school. But by the time I was 11, I had a summer job. I was babysitting, and as the years rolled by, I found I had less and less time for pauses. I worked most summers from then on, and by high school, I was working full-time. The one place I knew I had time to sort the true from the false and the things of doubt as the sun beat down was in my beach chair on vacation. I know it was a privilege to be able to spend time at the beach, and it still is. It's a privilege to be able to vacation at all, and I'm so grateful for that time of reflection at the water's edge. It's a place I try to get to at least once a summer. It's a place where I have little choice but to reflect as time moves forward with every wave. I am each time in awe of the wonder of the view of the ocean with no end in sight. I love the sea. Summers, while my kids were little, they went by so quickly. I loved watching them at the local pool or playing video games with them in the house when it was too hot. I especially loved introducing them to The Price is Right. When they were growing up, we had peach trees in our yard. It was a messy business, cleaning them from the sidewalks, getting the skins off to can them in a syrup, but who doesn't love warm peach cobbler? We used to drive to Rodale Farm every Friday to get our farm share. I will never forget eating a fresh, warm, red to the center strawberry right there in the field. I love fresh fruit, and I love my kids. In 2002, my mom and stepdad moved to northwestern Arizona, outside a small town on Route 66 called Kingman. I remember being on their property one summer, and the only sound you could hear was a faint hum from the power lines that traveled all the way from the Hoover Dam. The silence was eerie, but it was also an invitation to listen to my inner voice, my inner thoughts, and again, there it was, a spark. They didn't know it then, but their move would later provide a new home for my sister more than 20 years later, and a place I can now call home too. I love the desert, and I love my family. I think one of the greatest things I found for my I love list was July 4th, Sunday of 2003. I took my kids to a Unitarian Universalist church for the first time. Our welcome that day was not the best, and I'm not sure what the message was exactly, but I felt it was a place I could just pause, and every week if I wanted to. What a gift. I found what would later be my lifeline, my security blanket, my front row seat, my vocation, and my faith, Unitarian Universalism. I love this faith. There are many things I love about it, and I'm sure we might each have some things that we share, and maybe some things that we don't. We are each called to love through the lens of Unitarian Universalism, which amazingly is different for each of us. What is the same for all of us is our foundation of shared values: pluralism, generosity, transformation, interdependence, equity, and justice, with love at the center. There are summers that have been hard for all of us, including this one. We are heartbroken over the loss of life far away in lands we'll never see, and places right here at home. Summers like this one, they still require pause and reflection. It was summer when we as a nation had to recognize who we are when George Floyd was murdered. It's every summer when many kids in this country go hungry, those kids that rely on school lunches and worry about where they're going to get their next meal in the summer. It is summer when flooding is happening across this city, in the nation, and across the world. It is summer when folks like us need to take action so that not just those of us with privilege like me can find peace like a river. It is summer when we find time to pause and to do the hard work, no matter how hard it is. So, I've also realized that the summer of my life has ended, and like the ocean waves, has moved me into autumn. Many of us are in the fall and winter of our lives. We still must remember that every summer we have left, every summer ahead, calls us into a time of reflection, a time to reflect, what did I do on my summer vacation? I vow that every summer, from now on, I will simply say, I love. As our summer here draws to a close this month, we'll return for a new year on September 7th. May we all carry a spark of love and commitment into the autumn. Blessed be, and may it be so. I love you, and I love to sing. So please rise in body or